If you want to build real infrastructure with DevOps, there's one thing you have to get right first: your environment setup. In today's episode of our Hands-on DevOps series, we're going to show you how to set up your local workstation to use Terraform plus Ansible together in the right way on AWS. You'll configure an IAM role, create an instance profile, and connect it all to your machine so Terraform can provision infrastructure securely and Ansible can manage your servers smoothly. And walking you through the whole setup is our expert, Herbert Pereira from the Cloud Bootcamp. If you're serious about automation, this is where it starts.
Hello, we're back. In this video, we're going to prepare the environment by creating an IAM role and an instance profile, which will then be associated with our AWS EC2 workstation machine to grant Terraform the required permissions to create and manage infrastructure resources on AWS. First, let's create an AWS IAM role. Once this role has been successfully created, we can then validate whether it was properly provisioned, and here you'll be able to consult, verify, and retrieve the detailed information from the created role. And now, after the role has been successfully created, the next step will be to attach the administrator access permission to it. And since this is just a hands-on practice demo laboratory, we'll go ahead and grant full access so that our virtual machine EC2 workstation has the required permissions, while also reviewing the policies attached to this role before finally moving forward to create an instance profile. This instance profile will need to be associated with our workstation EC2 instance. I'm keeping the same name for both the role and the instance profile. In our next step, we're going to associate this instance profile with the AWS IAM role we've created. This brings us to the next step, which is to create our EC2 instance, the virtual machine that will serve as our workstation environment and dedicated workstation machine. We have an AWS CLI command ready here that will create a T2 medium EC2 instance. Note that you'll need to have an SSH key created beforehand, and we'll be using the default security group. The name of this machine will be TCB Workstation, and here I'm associating the instance profile TCB Terraform Ansible Full Access, so that this machine has the appropriate permissions for Terraform to be able to create resources on AWS. And here we're adding a bash script, which will do what? It's going to install Terraform and it's going to install Ansible. I'm going to press enter. Okay, I'm going to press the letter Q to exit. Let's clear the screen. Let's close here, and if we refresh here now, we'll see that a new instance is being created, which is precisely our EC2 TCB workstation. Our next step will be to access this EC2 workstation instance by leveraging a convenient VS Code extension. To do this, we'll need to get the IP address of this instance to make the connection. Okay. From my VS Code, you can see that I've already installed the Remote Explorer extension. So when you click here on the extension part, you need to install the Remote SSH extension. When you've completed that step, you'll notice an option that allows you to add a new connection directly to your SSH instance. If you go back to the AWS console, click on Connect, and then on the SSH client option, you'll see an example of a connection you can make. Just add this information here and press enter, and it will add it to the configuration files. You can also go straight here to this configuration section, access your configuration file, and configure exactly the IP you have for your EC2. In addition, you also need to configure the path where your private key is saved so that VS Code is able to make this SSH connection, and don't forget to specify the user. Remember that the user depends on the type of machine. If it's an Amazon Linux, if it's Ubuntu, if it's Debian, there will be a variation in the type of user, and these two pieces of information are optional so that you can extend the access time of your SSH session. Once you've done that, click here to start the SSH connection process. It will begin by opening the remote connection and then prompt you for a few details, such as confirming that the operating system is Linux, and it will also request confirmation to add this key to your known hosts file. Wonderful. All we have to do is wait here for the connection process to finish so we can test some commands inside our workstation. Remember that this is our workstation and not yet the instances, the virtual machines that will later become part of our inventory. Let's open the Files section here, click on Open Folder, click OK again, and it will open the files inside your workstation, which is created inside AWS. You're accessing it locally through VS Code, so simply click here to confirm and proceed. That's it. Now we can move on, open a terminal, and run a few commands to perform some tests. For example, I'm going to change the bash prompt to indicate the workstation so we can clearly tell when we're executing commands from our workstation versus when we're accessing the machines in the inventory. You can also check the operating system that was just installed here. It was Amazon Linux 2023. And we can also verify that the tools have been properly installed, including Terraform, which we'll need, as well as Ansible. Wonderful. With our workstation now created and both Terraform and Ansible already installed, our environment is fully ready, and in the next video, we'll move on to provisioning the infrastructure using Terraform. See you soon.
All right, thank you so much for watching this video. And then if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. And then also, please leave us a comment telling us what you think about this video and also the things that you'd like to see in a new video in here on our channel, okay? And then if you're interested in mastering Move to Cloud, DevOps, and AI with our help, please check the links in the description as well. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.